All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for the latest edition of the Mondays with Mike webinar series that we've been rolling out. If you haven't joined us in the last couple of weeks for a webinar, we have started rolling these out to kind of provide a little extra training while people are working remotely. Maybe you're quarantined or just self-quarantining. These are intended to just provide a little extra training while we have this time in our homes. So I am coming to you live from my kitchen counter. I do apologize if you hear any background noise like a dog barking or a trash truck in the background. Just working from my kitchen this morning. But today's topic is on the treatment thread that we rolled out towards the end of the 2019 year. I think we released it officially in October, and we've just kind of been slowly updating agencies as we go along. So today's webinar is to show you, if you have not yet seen, how the treatment thread works and what it can do for you and your practice. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And we can get started. All right, so everybody should be seeing my screen now. If you have not joined us for a webinar ever, or just within the last, I want to say since probably June of last year, we started doing webinars using the Zoom platform. So if you have not joined us for a webinar yet, if you have questions throughout the webinar, you can ask those. You should just be able to unmute yourself on your computer or on your phone if you called in. I ask if you do that to just ask your question, then remute yourself so we're not getting a lot of background noise during the webinar. You can also ask questions via the chat. So right at the top of your screen, you should have something that looks like this. If you go to more, there's a chat function. Okay, so you can send your questions through that way. I will try to answer them as we go along. I will also leave some time at the end of the webinar for questions. The actual information piece should take us probably between 25 and 35 minutes, and then I'll leave time for questions. So let's get started. What is the treatment thread? The treatment thread is basically, it's the continuity of care. It is from the start of the client entering treatment, information that can follow them throughout, so that you're not having to look back and copy and paste information from other documents, having to pull up a treatment plan to see what his goal was. With the treatment plan thread, that information can pull forward automatically from document to document, basically from the start of treatment to the end of treatment. So let's take a look at how it works. I should make note that this is setup that has to be done on each agency. So if this has already been done on your site and you're just looking for more information, that's great. If you are one of those agencies joining us today where the setup for the treatment thread has not been done yet, you're not going to be able to go in this afternoon and find the thread and be able to do these functions. We got to work with each agency individually to get your forms updated. So, you know, after the webinar today, if you want to get this rolling out in your agency, just give us a call. You can schedule with any one of us, Wendy or myself, even Sophia. So just contact any one of us and we'll get you started. All right, so from my client's profile here, I just entered this client today. This is a brand new fake client. Down below, I've got his services that he's enrolled in. Nothing's changed there. You can see I've got him in his intake and his assessments and some individual counseling. So this is the start of his treatment. I'm going to start out by doing an assessment on him. So I'm going to open up my form here. This is just one of our standard assessments that we kind of give out at your request. Not a lot of it's different. What I'm looking for here, though, the strengths and symptoms. When I open this up, you're going to see one of the line items is in green. So client strengths, that's in green. Whenever I see an area of a form that is green like that, it means that this is part of the treatment thread. So I'm doing my assessment and I'm entering a client strengths. That's going to carry over to my treatment plan. I'm just going to enter something pretty basic here. If I keep going down, I think I have an area for risks. Yeah, so here's one for risk factors. Okay. So I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm not going to take up your time by filling out the entire assessment today. But anywhere I see a green line item like that, it means that this is an item that's going to carry over to other documents in the system. This has come up even with agencies who have already gotten up and running on the treatment thread. This information is not going to carry over until I release and approve the document. Otherwise, it's just sitting out there and the system thinks you're still working on it. We're not going to carry it over because we don't know if you're done or not. So in order for it to get it to carry over from the evaluation document, I got to go up here and do my release and approve. All right, so that document is now archived. It's in the client's filing cabinet. So when I go back to their profile page, if I jump to, let's say, my treatment plan, that information that I just entered on the evaluation or on the assessment is carrying forward to my service plan at the top there. And then from there, I can just go down to my problem 1 and 2 and 3. You'll notice, just like with the assessment, the line items that are in green, that's part of the new treatment thread function. So let's fill some stuff out here. Problem statement. Okay. So you fill out the initial service plan just like you always have. And again, it's got to be archived. All right, so now I've done my initial stuff. I've done my assessment. I've done my, let's just pretend I did all the intake paperwork that's needed. I've done the initial treatment plan. And now the client actually starts attending treatment. So I'm going to check him in here for an individual session. Let's just say he started coming next week. I can go to my session note. The first couple buttons here, they haven't changed a lot. You're all probably using a version of this or a different form altogether. But what is new that I wanted to show you here is the goals button. So that goal that I entered on my initial treatment plan is now pulling forward to every single session note that I'm doing. We've gotten a lot of feedback from agencies that OBH is really trying to drive home the point that they want goals on your session notes. And this is just an example of something that we can do. You can say which goal you worked on this session with those checkboxes there. And then right below it, you can just make a little comment on the client's progress towards that goal in that session. I can also make changes to my goals on my session notes. So if I'm doing my session note and I notice that, oh, that goal is not really specific enough, so I'm going to make a change here. Hopefully you guys are a little more specific with your goals than I'm being in this one. Okay. So I made a change for my goal. Now the next time I go to do a treatment plan review, it's going to pull the latest change. So I'm going to create a new document here. I'm going to have to jump ahead in time just because I'm doing this all on the same day. You guys won't run into that problem. You're not going to be doing a initial treatment plan, a session note, and a treatment plan review all on the same day. But I made that change. So now it's carrying from my session note to my next treatment plan review. So I'm always going to have the most current information in there. So there's a question right now. If we want, can you make a thread to carry over the objectives in the treatment plan into the progress note as well? I'm guessing, and then yes, so or the therapeutic interventions, which consider, yeah, we absolutely can. So if you're anything in green, we could have carryover, and we can also make any of these items green. So if you want the problem statements on your session notes, we can have that. That might be a little overkill, but we can do it. We can do the therapeutic interventions. We can also change the title of that to be objectives or any one of these items. We can theoretically have it pull from the treatment plan into any other document you need. And all the ones I'm showing you are pretty basic. Let me show you another assessment that we've kind of just been playing around with. Okay. So again, we've got those items there that are in green, the primary, secondary, and tertiary drugs. Drop downs are they're an option now. You can have a drop down like this that will carry over to other forms. Okay. So that assessment that I showed you when the webinar first started, it was a simple assessment. This one goes much more into depth, especially with substance abuse. So all of these areas that are green can be carried over. Another piece with the treatment thread itself, some of you have maybe already noticed the green ribbon icon that's in the icon bar on the client's page. That's where all the information for the thread is stored. So as I'm entering information on the treatment plan, as I'm entering information on the assessment or session notes, this is where it's going to be stored. So you saw that I made a change to the goal statement. If I expand that, here's my original goal. Here's what I changed it to on this date that I changed to the future. So you can see those changes as they take place also. One thing you can do, we mentioned that the treatment thread doesn't work. It doesn't carry over until you archive a document. That's true if you're entering the information on the document. However, if you're entering the information right here under that green ribbon icon, it'll carry over even before the document's archived. Where that's come up in a few cases is with like interns who need their documents signed off on by a supervisor. The supervisor doesn't always get to it very quickly. So while that treatment plan is still sitting out there pending the supervisor's approval, the goals then were not carrying over to the session note. The way you can get around that is by entering information here. So even while that document is waiting to be approved, the goals can still carry over automatically to all the session notes. Okay. I did mention that when the webinar started that this is a setup that needs to be done on each agency's site. So I wanted to just kind of let you know, show you what we can do with that. Basically, we're asking that decision makers, like clinical supervisor or agency owners, are the ones who contact us to get going on this. Nothing against counselors or interns. We just want the entire agency to be on the same page with each other so that we don't have 5 different people calling us to make changes to the form. But basically, we got to work with each of you to update your forms. Here is an example of the service plan that we've it's just kind of a standard one that we've been giving out. With this one, all the thread stuff is already built into it. If you have a treatment plan that you're using currently that's the one you want to use, that's what you like, you want to keep using it, you can do that, and we can make the thread work with your existing forms. We just have to then go into the forms and update them to work with the thread. But this is an option for a form that we've got. This is the treatment plan. We took a look at the DAP note for your session notes. So it's a different form. And here's that more extended one that I kind of showed you guys before. So yeah, if you guys want to get going on the treatment thread, just shoot us an email, give us a call. We'll get you scheduled and we'll go through this and make some changes to your forms for you. One thing with the thread though that I should just make kind of special mention of, when you go to do, after we get you up and running on the thread, let me archive one really quick. When we get you up and running on the treatment thread, something that's going to have to take place is, up until now, you've just been copying the archive document, and that pulls everything you did on the last treatment plan forward so that you can just kind of make some edits and keep working on it. As you make the switch, you're going to have to create a new document for the first time. So this client, Frank Frankenstein, his last treatment plan was back in February. And let's say we updated the form to work with the treatment thread today, and he's got a treatment plan review coming up tomorrow. So tomorrow I would have to come in here and create a new document just so that it pulls forward the new thread function. And then I would enter in all the treatment plan information again. So you do have to enter this stuff again the first time, but after that, it will just carry over for you. And if you wanted to, you could always go down here to review the treatment plan, the last one, and you can copy and paste information. Okay. So that is my spiel. A few other minor notes of stuff that we've done in the system recently to kind of improve things is we do have some new functions with the way that we build forms that makes them a little more stable, so that if you've ever highlighted too much of a form and you accidentally deleted something and then it looked all wonky and messed up, we have some new functions out there. Nothing really that you guys need to take care of, but we can make the forms a little more stable now, so you shouldn't be getting those issues anymore. And then let's see, one last thing. Looking through who has joined the webinar today, I'm not 100% certain who my DV providers are out there. As a lot of you have known, we have the DVRNA inside ReliaTrax for your use. We did just update that. And I guess if you're a DV provider and you didn't know, you can do the DVRNA in ReliaTrax. So in the icon bar on the client's profile, the fourth icon from the left is this little chart icon. If you hover over it, it says Client Bros. That stands for Behavioral Reporting Organization. Okay. I'm going to add the DVOMB. And then I want it to actually fill out the DVRNA, I want to click on the blue book icon with the DD, stands for Data Dictionary. Okay. So the change that has happened recently, we actually updated this just on Saturday. So over the weekend, this change took place. This very first item, the client has signed an ROI for you to release that information to the DVOMB. So you can now say either yes or no. If I say yes, this big thing is going to pop up. Okay. So it's basically, if I'm saying yes, the client has signed an ROI, I'm saying the client has released me to release this information to the DVOB. Okay. You notice a little red plus next to some fields. Down at the bottom, it lets you know what that is. And then the blue asterisk, that's information that will not be reported to the DVOB. Okay. All right, so that is the updates to the DVRNA. I don't want to go too much into it because that is not necessarily what today's webinar topic is about. It's the thread. But at this time, I just want to open it up to questions about either the treatment thread function or the DVRNA. So if you want to, you can send a question through in the chat, or you can unmute yourself either on your computer or your phone, whichever one you're joining us with. And yeah, you can ask your questions now. And just while people are typing their questions or trying to figure out how to unmute your computer, I'm just going to kind of keep going here with some things that we discussed in the last couple webinars. If you are canceling groups due to the COVID-19 situation that we've got going on right now, a great function for that is treats and groups and group blackout dates. So as soon as this loads, so the group blackout dates are used to cancel groups for an entire day. It's up until now, it's really only been used for holidays. This is kind of a new situation we're all finding ourselves in. So, you know, for Christmas or Thanksgiving, this is what the group blackout dates have traditionally been used for. So for now, let's say I'm canceling all my Monday groups. You can also cancel just individual groups. I have been recommending that you use the reason code AX to cancel those groups, just because that will show up on reports for finding which sessions I had to cancel due to the outbreak. And I'm just going to put the reason. If you didn't get a chance to join us for the outbreak response webinar that I held about a week and a half ago now, it has been uploaded to the help site. So under the blue question mark, I'm going to go down to help for all pages. And at the very bottom of the page is a link to the video library. And the last video uploaded it's called Virus Season. It is some things you can do in your system to track sessions that are not happening due to the virus, and just a few other things that you can do at this time. So feel free to watch that. It's got some good information in there. All right. So the chat is pretty quiet. Again, if you have questions, feel free to send them through. Right now is a good time. If you don't have any questions, you feel like you got everything you needed out of this, thank you for joining us today. And keep an eye out for the email regarding next week's webinar, which I believe is going to be, so next week's webinar is insurance billing. We're going to be doing a two-part billing webinar. So next week will be on insurance billing. The following week will be on voucher billing. So keep an eye on your emails for that invite. Yeah, no problem. We're happy to provide these webinars, but thank you everybody for joining us. And yeah, we'll see you next Monday for the next edition of Mondays with Mike. You know that John left in the morning to go visit other relatives in a different part of town.